When the first Wreck-It Ralph burst onto screens in 2012, audiences went wild. And with the recent release of the hotly anticipated sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet is getting a great reception across the board, and it seems like this movie franchise is in our hearts for good. But that doesn't stop fans from coming up with some truly amazing theories that just might change your mind about the movies forever. While you're here, why not take a moment to wreck that red subscribe button and stay up to date with the latest from ScreenRant. Vanellope's father. So, we all know that one of the biggest surprises from the first Wreck-It Ralph movie was the reveal that King Candy had been Turbo all along. While he was presumed dead after his game Turbo Time was unplugged, we find out Turbo actually infiltrated the new game Sugar Rush, of which Vanellope is supposed to be the princess. In his jealousy, he tried to erase her code but was unable to destroy her, simply making her a glitch and erasing her memory of once being a great racer and ruler of Sugar Rush. But some believe that the story might actually be a bit different. The theory goes King Candy predates Turbo and is actually Vanellope's father. They say Turbo, in an effort to hide within Sugar Rush, killed the real King Candy and took his place in the game. Vanellope wouldn't remember King Candy was supposed to be her father, of course, because she had no memory of being the princess in the first place. By removing Vanellope from the game, Turbo was able to successfully hide within it without being discovered, or having any pesky daughters around asking questions about why their dad was suddenly a different person altogether. It's a terrifyingly effective plan, and if true, really solidifies Turbo's place in the Hall of Supervillains. Calhoun's tragedy. This theory is pretty rough, and it centers around the seemingly cold-hearted Sergeant Calhoun. As is common with most grizzled sergeant characters in games and movies, Calhoun was given a pretty upsetting backstory. We're told that on her wedding day, one of the giant cybugs that run rampant throughout her game Hero's Duty attacked and killed her fiancé right there on the altar. Without a moment to think, she pulled out her chain gun and destroyed the beast that just devoured her beloved. But what we also know about the cybugs is that they take on the form of whatever they just ate, as we see when one makes a snack out of King Candy later in the movie. This is where the theory gets a little upsetting. Some fans have figured out that since her husband-to-be was just consumed by the cybug, Calhoun actually had to destroy the person she loved most in the world along with it, who just died tragically only seconds before. Because the love of your life dying in front of your eyes at your wedding on the one day you let your guard down and didn't check the perimeter of the church wasn't enough, but killing a monster that actually has his face just adds salt to the wound. No wonder she isn't the friendliest person, and really, who can blame her? Code or memory? Staying on the topic of Calhoun's tragic backstory for one more minute, there's another wild theory out there that just might explain a lot about why she is the way she is. We know by now that every character in the Wreck-It Ralph universe has a backstory, Calhoun's being, of course, the most tragic of them all. But something isn't quite right about the whole scenario. Every other character seems totally aware that all of their backstories have been coded into them, that they're essentially playing a part. We see this with Ralph, in that he doesn't actually care about his motivation to destroy the building in his game, that his stump was moved in order for it to be built. The same way that Vanellope knows that she isn't an actual princess. They're all just playing roles so that their games make sense. But Calhoun seems to be the only one who believes her backstory is actually real, which is where this theory picks up. It says that Calhoun's backstory must actually be a part of Hero's Duty, and that she must have to relive it every time someone new plays through the game. So instead of just having the memory coded in for character motivation, Calhoun is the only one who has actually been really affected by her past, especially when she has to relive it over and over again. Memory loss. In the first Wreck-It Ralph, one of the main story arcs is how Turbo erased the memories of all the citizens and racers in Sugar Rush in order to hijack the game and hide away inside of it. This of course includes Vanellope, whose memory of her rightful role as princess and also champion racer were snatched away. But what if they weren't? Some fans believe that Vanellope never actually lost her memory. They justify it like this: she never actually acts all that shocked when her memory does supposedly return. While we see Turbo physically lock up the citizens and racers' memories, we only see him cut Vanellope's loose and shove it out into the abyss of all the other code to be lost. And we assume that because she was a citizen and a racer that her memories have been locked up as well. But it's possible that since Vanellope was actually royal to begin with, her memories don't reside in the same place as the other normal citizens. Just like how King Candy's code sits above all the rest. And when she becomes a princess again, she takes no time at all to adjust to the supposedly new information, and immediately starts giving out orders. And while she seemed to forget everything else, she somehow didn't lose her amazing ability to race. Wreck-It Mario? This might just be one of the craziest and far-fetched theories out there, but bear with us because it's so good. And if it's true, it might just be the best surprise twist you've ever seen. This theory suggests Ralph might actually be Mario. That's right. Nintendo's favorite Italian stereotype hero might actually be hiding in plain sight in the Wreck-It Ralph movies. Let's start with their sartorial choices, because both characters are known to rock a red shirt and cool pair of overalls. Then there's the way that Ralph descends into his stump, which looks all too similar to how Mario disappears into the pipes in his games. The similarities keep piling up. Fix-It Felix is a really similar game to Donkey Kong, except in this case Ralph would be Kong and not Mario. But Ralph's game is actually called Fix-It Felix Jr., and if you'll remember the game Donkey Kong Jr., Mario was actually the villain, not the hero. And Donkey Kong Jr. was celebrating its 30th anniversary at the exact same time that Fix-It Felix was doing the same in the movie. Lastly, Sugar Rush is obviously really similar to Mario Kart, and Ralph's behavior in Sugar Rush is just like Mario's, when he defeats the evil king and saves the princess in pink. Glitch or power? Jumping back to the subject of Vanellope, we know one of her biggest struggles in the movie is her glitch, which was added to her code by Turbo when he took over Sugar Rush and erased her memory. But what if this glitch isn't a glitch at all, but actually a power that she had all along? This theory wonders that exact question. Since Vanellope had her memory erased, she forgot all about who she was. What if this included her special power of being able to teleport? We see her slowly learn to control this ability over the course of Wreck-It Ralph, so it seems really likely that this is not a hindrance, but really an amazing power that she forgot how to use. And since she had been told by King Candy that it was a glitch and mocked for it by the other citizens of Sugar Rush, she would of course believe them and become ashamed of what she has been told is a flaw. It was just a tactic of manipulation that Turbo had used against her in order to suppress her real abilities, knowing full well that her so-called glitch actually made her even more powerful and could be used against him. It also gives her an amazing advantage in racing, as we see at the very end of the movie. Unplugging. In Wreck-It Ralph, we're led to believe unplugging a game means that every character within dies, and that is the very worst fate that can happen to an arcade game. But what if this isn't actually true at all? One theory suggests the story all the game characters believe about the fatal unplugging is actually just an old wives' tale, an urban legend that they've all believed for so long that it has become true for the characters. Ralph clearly believes it so much. When Turbo, aka King Candy, tells him that if Vanellope is allowed to race and glitches, it will lead to Sugar Rush being unplugged and all the characters except for her being killed. He believes it so much that he smashes Vanellope's cart to stop her from racing. But wait, what happens if a perfectly functioning game is unplugged, moved, and plugged in again? In reality, nothing. While the universe in Wreck-It Ralph is different, it seems like the worst thing that happens when unplugged is that the game turns back to code, but will restart when plugged in again. So it's actually more likely that this is just an old scary story passed down from generations in order to keep the characters behaving properly, like a Forbidden Forest in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Mr. Litwack knows. Like Toy Story, sometimes it's hard to believe that the humans don't ever catch the animated characters in the act of coming to life and having a mind of their own. While they may just be so good at playing their parts after so many years, you have to wonder, does Mr. Litwack know that they're more than meets the eye? This theory seems to think that in fact he does. Mr. Litwack may just be a sweet old arcade owner, but he really does seem to have an emotional attachment to the games and the characters who reside in them that goes beyond normal enthusiasm. So some believe that he actually knows that his beloved characters exist outside of their games. Maybe he's seen it for himself once or twice. After all, he's spent more time around these games than anyone else. When Turbo Time and Road Blasters had to be unplugged, he looked pretty devastated about it. And at the end of the movie, when the characters from Fix-It Felix are finally restored, it's them that he is so happy to see. Not simply that the game is fixed so that he can still make money off of it. Finally, leaving all of the games plugged in and on after hours must put a huge dent in his electricity bill. So why would he do that? Unless... Big Hero Ralph. Fans love nothing more than to tie together the universes of their favorite movies. And no universes are more fun than those of Disney and Pixar. But fans of Wreck-It Ralph have made a connection that even the biggest Disney fans among us might have missed. Some believe that Wreck-It Ralph is actually a computer game inside of the world of Big Hero 6. Not only that, but the actual city of San Francisco, where Big Hero 6 is set, is the setting for Wreck-It Ralph, and maybe even every other Disney movie. Now, we know Disney loves to hide Easter eggs all over their films, but there are so many Wreck-It Ralph gems hidden inside of Big Hero 6 that is impossible to ignore. There are billboards advertising the game, a Ralph action figure on top of Hero's computer, a Hero's Duty action figure in Hero's house, and the character Fred even has a life-sized Hero's Duty suit in his living room. While you may say that these are just cleverly hidden references by animators, they seem to point to something bigger. The arcade games from Wreck-It Ralph are clearly super popular all over San Francisco, so the actions of Ralph and his friends must take place within the world of Big Hero 6. It's all connected. Usually, the favorite theories are those that place all of the Disney movies in the same ever-expanding universe. But sometimes an even bigger theory comes along that shatters all of that. Like this one. These fans suggest that the Disney movies aren't all in one big universe, but actually they're all part of one giant interconnected computer network, i.e. the game central station we see in Wreck-It Ralph. Characters can come and go as they please, through different portals and doors like an extremely bustling and eclectic train station. It explains how there are always Disney character cameos in almost every movie, hiding in the background somewhere, just minding their own business. We can even spot Maximus the Horse and Vladimir the Viking from Tangled in Game Central Station during the first Wreck-It Ralph, along with Tiny the Dinosaur from Meet the Robinsons. On top of this, some believe that the Disney movies are all actually part of their own video games. It might seem like a stretch to imagine that all Disney movies are actually games, but it does make some sense. Almost every Disney movie involves a hero being forced to go on a hero's journey, forced to overcome an obstacle and defeat a big bad at the end to be free, which sounds exactly like a pretty awesome game to us. And there you have them, 10 of the wildest Wreck-It Ralph theories out there that just might make you take a second look at the movies. What did you think about these theories? Do you agree with any of these fan theories or think the movies are better left alone? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the red subscribe button to keep up to date with the newest and most awesome content from ScreenRant.